Good afternoon. It is the appointed hour to start our festivities. As soon as John steps down, we'll go. Okay. Hope everybody's doing okay tonight. We'll go ahead and start our work session. And tonight we're going to do 4 of the presentations tonight, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 5. We'll start off with a presentation of the 2024 Joe Atwater Continuous Core Values Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's an honor to stand before you this evening. This year's Joe Atwater Award recipient exemplifies her care for others, teamwork, and building trust with everyone she comes into contact with. Just like Joe, she has shown a commitment to serving others in the community and abiding dedication to the city's core values. This year's recipient is committed to making life for citizens and co-workers better. She demonstrated her commitment to Concord's culture when she managed the strategic plan implementation process. She has worked with me, the ACMs, department heads, and Central Atlanta to navigate tough questions about the city's vision, mission, and future plans. She has spearheaded multiple group meetings to address concerns about existing city values and use that as a means to develop a new strategic plan. She takes the time to value others' input while also bringing diverse groups together to build a broader understanding and perspective. She took on one of the toughest budget seasons to date, which included a revaluation and implementation of a compensation study. She went above and beyond expectations to deliver projections, options, and solutions to funding issues for next year's budget. She, along with her team, have created infographics, video scripts, and budget messaging that is easy to read and answers most frequently asked questions. She volunteers her time as a neighborhood liaison and presenter for Civic Ed, where her and her team created an interactive experience for third graders to show what the city does and how to prioritize its resources. She volunteers with Concord 101, assisting adult residents with questions regarding services provided by the city and how to access them. She embodies the city's commitment to the community with a culture of excellence by assisting co-workers and residents alike, making it an easy and pleasant experience. This year's winner will have her name added to the Joe Atwater Award plaque in the City Hall lobby, an engraved crystal award, recognition in the city circular, a $500 gift card, and a day off of paid administrative leave. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Leslie Reeder, this year's Joe Atwater Award recipient. So at this time, I'm going to ask her supervisor, Ms. Jessica Jones, to come forward and make some brief comments, and then Leslie's going to have an opportunity to respond as well.
I could not be more thrilled to stand up here to recognize Leslie. She and I essentially started at the city at the same time, so we have grown professionally together, and she is just an absolute joy to work with, and she truly has a passion for serving the citizens of the city and truly cares about what goes in the budget, how the budget process goes, about how she works with these team members as part of the City of Concord. I've never seen somebody exemplify that so purely as Leslie does. And I truly am so grateful that I have had her kind of beside me as we have both grown and progressed here at the city. And she has always been willing to be a listening ear. She is always willing to help, always cares about her team members. The environment she has created for that team of 3 is just exceptional and a great example for the rest of us within finance. So I'm just very, very proud of you and very, very grateful to get to work beside of you.
Goodness. I need a minute. I'm a little shaky. But yeah, just thank you so much. It has been a joy, honestly. In all the years I've worked for the city, just all the different things that I've been entrusted with and been able to do and interacting with citizens and 8-year-olds and high school students and just all of the things in the strategic plan. And so I am just extraordinarily grateful, and I'm not normally speechless, but I think that's all I've got for right now.
Okay. stand up here.
Turn around, Lloyd. So much support. Good job. We have two proclamations we'd like to do tonight or today. Sandra? Oh, can you come down, please? Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So the first is going to deal with, this is National Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's from the, believe it or not, from, I think it's September 15th to October 15th. Is that correct? That's an interesting month, isn't it?
Yes,
Not quite.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit each, okay. So let me go ahead and read this. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month is an occasion to commemorate the countless contributions of the Hispanic people to enrich American life, and whereas this year's theme is Pioneers of Changes, Shaping and Future Together, acknowledge the ability of Hispanic people and communities to positively contribute to our nation. Whereas this month's recognition and highlights the significant strides of Hispanics in the economy, political, and social growth of the United States, and whereas the National Hispanic Heritage Month is a call to every citizen to reflect on the contribution of Hispanic people which are woven throughout American history. Now, therefore, I, William C. Dush, Mayor of the City of Concord, along with Concord City Council, do hereby offer the proclamation in honor of September 15th to October 15th as being recognition of National Hispanic Heritage Month. Congratulations. And could you both, and not just introduce yourselves, but tell us what you're doing with the Hispanic community.
Okay, my name is Sandra Torres, and I am the president of El Puente Hispano, and
Oh.
again, Sandra Torres, president of El Puente Hispano, and we do all kinds of programs to help Latino families in the county. We have after-school programs, ESL classes, mental health support. We partner with organizations like the City of Concord and other agencies to be that bridge that connects the community and the agencies. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff. We keep it busy here.
Yes, yes, you do. Yes. So if we get together and we'll just go ahead and have this. Very good. And if that's not enough, I hope everybody looks at their calendar, because coming up, I believe it's October 5th, isn't that correct? Mhm. October 5th is when we're having the International Festival in Concord. This is the 4th year? Yes. And it'll be right outdoors here on Market Street in Barbrick. It's an amazing event. Last year we had about 6,000 to 8,000 show up for it, and it was just absolutely amazing. The weather will be perfect. I know it will. Yeah, of course that. So let me read this proclamation. Whereas Concord has thriving international community that has greatly contributed to all facets of American culture, whereas community members from different origins and backgrounds enrich our communities by sharing their vibrant culture and heritage, whereas the Concord International Festival is an event created to celebrate multiculturalism and diversity and to promote understanding among different races, ethnicities, through music, food, art, community bonding, and sharing among all cultures. Whereas this will be the third, but actually it's the 4th year, of the Concord International Festival. We celebrated El Puente Hispano along with the City of Concord, to host such a spirited, elevated endeavor every year. Therefore, I, William C. Dush, on behalf of City Council, City of Concord, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 5th as Concord International Festival Day. We are just so happy that you're doing this again and bringing everybody in the community together.
We are even more happy. Thank you.
Yes, let's have a round of applause for everything they're doing. So, let's change positions this time. See, the picture will be different. Thank you. And to be with you. Congratulations. Congratulations. In our last presentation tonight, Certificate of Achievement of an Excellent for Financial Reporting. Who is coming up
Thank you,
here
Mayor.
for
Call
this?
Kristen to come forward. She's going to receive this.
That's Kristen. So this is, we've gotten this many years, and it's very important because of all the things you're doing to make sure that we stay in bounds on all the things we do. And I'm so proud of you getting this excellence of financial reporting again. So on behalf of council and the City of Concord staff and the citizens of Concord, thank you for what you've been doing here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your endeavor to get this?
So
Maintain
this
this.
is really the culmination of the work that the whole finance department does throughout the year. So this is kind of how we wrap it all up, and we have to report it out to the public, right? So it's 230 plus pages of information. It does take a lot of work. We're starting that process right now for the 2024 award. But it really is, it's just the culmination of all the hard work of the finance department throughout the year. So this is really for all of them.
It is.
Yep. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we'll be moving on to on the informational items. That will be Thursday to do downtown streetscape update and parks and recreation bond update. We had no public hearings this month, so we'll move right into presentation, petition and request. Number one, consider adopting a resolution to attempt to schedule a public hearing in a matter of closing a right-of-way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So call on Fred to come forward, present this item to council this evening.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kocinski, and Ms. Deason. The item before you, again, is an alley right-of-way closure application for your consideration. The right-of-way in question represents a portion of the Rosehaven Court right-of-way, which is approximately a 15-foot wide alley running parallel to Corbin Avenue, as shown on your slides, particularly the one on the right-hand side of that slide. The applicants for this request are Stanley Cranford and Debbie Langley, and they are the owners of the property of the house at 135 Corbin Avenue. The unimproved alleyway was originally a part of the ML Widenhouse subdivision that was originally platted in 1924, and this area of closure represents approximately 825 square feet of land area. This next slide here depicts the actual area of closure, shown there in blue, and additionally references the other closures of the alley in 2015 as well as in 2023. In regards to your next steps, consider adopting the resolution to set the public hearing for consideration of October the 10th. And if adopted, staff will conduct the public hearing notice process in accordance with the general statutes, including certified mailings, posting of signs, as well as newspaper advertisements. And I'll answer any questions that the council may have at this time.
Can you pull the map back up again?
Yes, sir. That one? Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2, consider awarding a bid to NC Quality Home Builders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Steve will cover this item for council this evening.
Yes, sir. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky. This is to consider awarding a bid to North Carolina Quality Home Builders. It is the last house in the Hawthorne subdivision, and the city's made a tremendous change on that street. If you can recall 15 years ago, the conditions of the homes that were along that street, it's been very impactful. This is the last one. It's actually at 449 Cabarrus Avenue West. We had 2 rounds of bids. First round, we only had 1 bidder. There were 7 interested, but only 1 bid. We rebid it, and the bid of $278,638.50. And we ask for your consideration.
Questions from council?
Thank you.
Number 3, consider adopting a resolution amending the city manager's authority items 1A, 2, and 2 to align North Carolina general statutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. LaDerek will cover this item for council this evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor. The recommendation that's before you is a recommendation to update management's authority as it relates to spending and approval authority as it relates to making sure that it aligns better with our general statutes. We have done this in the past with our purchasing policy. This sort of follows that same guide. Over the years, prices continue to increase. What used to be a smaller scale project is no longer a smaller scale project, so it starts to put us in a position where some of our daily operations it takes a little bit longer because we need to wait for those approvals. There were actually 2 items that we aligned a little bit better with our general statutes. One dealt with the execution and termination of construction contracts. You can see those redlined in the document. The second one was the procurement of architectural, engineering, and surveying services. There was a difference there from what is in our resolution. The third item is just a clarification as it relates to change orders. Just making sure that it is referencing change orders that are outside of what council approves and not change orders that are within the budget of the projects that are approved. So we're just submitting this to you for your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions from council? All right, thank you. Number 4, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a sole source purchase contract with Timken Gears and Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff will cover this item for council this evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. We're asking for your approval to move forward with negotiation and execution of a sole source purchase, I combined a few words there, with Timken Gears and Services for a new gearbox at the Cottle Creek Water Treatment Plant. It's part of our carbon mixer process. The amount is $205,406. The original manufacturer, Philadelphia Gear, their intellectual property rights have been acquired by Timken Gears, and they do not allow any other manufacturers or vendors to source their materials. So this is, we have vetted this through the purchasing department, and we're asking for your approval to move forward as a sole source purchase contract.
All right, any question from council?
Just curious, what's the lifespan of the gearbox?
This is an original gearbox, so 80s, 90s, somewhere in that time frame. We do plan, once we decommission the old one, we are going to remanufacture that old one so that we can get some additional value out of it, and we'll have another gearbox ready to go should we have any issues with the new one.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, Jeff, and I like your tie. It's very, very nice.
Thank you.
Number 5, consider adopting a resolution in support of NCDOT project roadway lighting at I-85 and Concord Parkway, George Liles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Philip will discuss this item with council this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolczynski, Ms. Deason. NCDOT did approach our staff as well as Kannapolis with regards to the lighting at the Kannapolis Parkway George Lyles interchange. This concern came from citizens originally about how illuminated that interchange was versus others, the safety concern out there. As you've seen in other interchanges along I-85, there's the higher up lighting right there at the ramps. This is what we're talking about. The project, as NCDOT estimated it, will be around $1 million. They are requesting support to go to the MPO to ask for funding, be it direct allocation funds, and then split that local match between ourselves, Kannapolis, and their spot funding, safety funding. So we would be a third of the 20% local match in that project, which would, at the estimate right now, is $67,000. So again, this is to support them to apply for those funds through the MPO. Happy to take any questions.
Any question from council? All right, thank you very much. Number 6, consider adopting a resolution granting temporary modification of new air service incentives.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Dirk's going to come forward. He has got items 6 through 10 on your agenda this evening, so he will roll through those pending any questions from council. So Dirk, if you would.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolczynski, Ms. Deason. Item number 6, resolution granting temporary modification to our new air service incentive plan. If you recall, back in 2021, council adopted a new plan based on the current airline service. In 2003, specifically, FAA adopted a new policy regarding air incentive programs for airlines and airports, consistent with grant insurances, making sure that airports are self-sufficient and that the revenue that's generated on airport stays on airport. With the announcement of Avelo Airlines back in July of this year with new service, in our discussions with the airline, we indicated that we would not be, it would be my recommendation not to fulfill the existing policy that's currently in place due to a number of rationale, including that the proposed plan, as it states in 21, was $25,000 per market. In addition, a waiving of fees for up to 6 months, which basically would give away the farm. I informed them that I would recommend to council a temporary modification. So in front of you, you have specifically the markets that Avelo plans to start October the 24th through November, I think it's the 8th. Specifically Albany, New York, Boston, Massachusetts, Hartford, Connecticut, Wilmington, Delaware, and Rochester, recommending 1 month's waiver of fees and $12,500 in marketing, subject to our verification that those expenditures are met. And then with the proximity of Lakeland, Florida, between Sanford, Florida, and St. Pete, it was my recommendation not that we would have the incentive program for that particular market. Any questions pertaining number 6?
Any questions?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just wondering, do they have any, I'm sorry, do they have any skin in the game to, in other words, what's their part of this to get this money?
No,
Sure,
the key thing for us specifically, obviously, is an increase in our NCDOT AIP grant funding. The other thing is ultimately, we will start charging for the per turn basis. That's how we calculate our return on our rates and charges. The airline, as you well know, can come and go. We really don't have any long-term agreements with either Allegiant Airlines or Avelo. The determination is, do they stay? If they're successful, they would definitely stay. This is like what Allegiant has done for the last 10 years. It's supply and demand, so that's why, given the increase in the number of destinations and flights, it's in our best interest just to waive for 1 month and then start charging them there accordingly.
That makes sense. Did Allegiant get anything like this?
Yes, sir. Initially, actually, when they started service, it was for 6 months, waive fees, and it was $25,000 per destination.
For their desk, okay. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. All right,
Continue
next.
on, number 7.
On with
I'm
number
sorry.
8, authorizing city manager to negotiate Number 7, execute a contract with Anderson Group.
Yes, sir. So with the increase in traffic, it's our interest to maintain gate management. We've had recently a particular situation where we've had 3 aircraft on the ground, and it's caused some issues with TSA and the airlines. So we reached out to company Lee Anderson Airport Group that has experience in gate management. Previously, he was with FAA doing slide controls. So we're trying to maximize our throughput for the passengers, and that way we will have a pretty accurate count as to what our capacity is at the 25,000 square foot terminal building. So a recommendation that we move forward with this. Ultimately, we will recover our costs through our rates and charges formula.
Question from council? Okay. Now, number 8.
Question, Mayor.
Let's go ahead.
Go back to the Laderick's item. If that would have been approved, this one would never have come to us. You would have had the authority to sign this without city council. Am I understanding Laderick's?
This one's in the amount of $96,000.
And we're granting you up to 500,000?
I think that's for construction, is that correct? Hang on a second. The 500,000 for construction projects.
It's just for construction, okay.
Yes, correct.
Yes, sir. This is really professional services.
All right. Number 8, authorize city manager to negotiate execute a work authority authorization for Talbot Wright and Ellington.
Yes, sir. So this is a feasibility study for our, what we call engineering material arresting system, EMAS, on the south side of the airport, on the south side end of the runway. We're wanting to look at whether or not this will make sense. FAA's determination is based on this feasibility. If it is acceptable to FAA, we're able then to apply for federal grants to put in the EMAS. Is basically light concrete, which will allow maximum takeoff for our runway at Concord Paget Regional Airport.
All right, any questions from council? Any questions? All right, moving on to number 9, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate a work authorization with Talbot Wright Ellington again.
Yes, sir. So we've got a couple of projects that we really need to clean up. One is to form a CAT-X, category exclusion, for our fire station. That's to be part of our ALP, airport layout plan. In order that we have some opportunities for federal funds. We need to complete that. In addition, due to some recent development with the Misty Wood, which we'll be talking about tonight under the project update management, we are requesting approval to do what we call a pen and ink change in our ALP. That will change our long-term development for the proposed, at that time, our general aviation complex. And we need to complete that so that we can submit that to FAA for final approval.
All right, question from council. All right, moving on to number 10, consider authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Faith Group LLC.
Yes, sir. So as soon as fire department is out of Station 6, we're looking at putting together an airport operations emergency center at the current location 6. So we need to do a feasibility and funding on what they call ConOps, which is our concept of operations for the location at, hopefully it will be former Station 6, will be AOC. And so that we get a specific amount of estimate cost, and then we can apply for federal grants for the development of that particular location.
All right, question from council?
No question, but it's amazing his ability to negotiate among all these different funding agencies and pull them together. I mean, great job. It's amazing to gain the federal, the state, the local, all engaged. Good job.
Thank you.
I think that's important, that you've figured out all the little
Well,
levers you
it's
got
got to
to
work at it, so.
Oh, yeah, extremely so. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 11, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate, execute a change order with Sealand Contractors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Calling Jackie. She's going to cover items 11 and 12 this evening for council. So Jackie, if you would.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, and Ms. Deason. This afternoon, I have before you a change order for Sealand Contractors for up to $645,791. If you recall, this section of work in front of the courthouse was never included in the original scope of the project. The project documents specifically excluded that section. Simply for timing purposes, these projects were concurrently being planned and designed. So this work is now, the courthouse work is coming to a close. So this work needs to be figured out. We did look at other options for trying to get this work done. The county was a willing partner, but unfortunately their contractor was not able to secure subs that would be willing to work on this project. So the existing contract would be extended by 90 days. That's when liquidated damages could be assessed. That pushes this out to December 21st, 2024. The construction team has been willing and able to work with special events that need to be held during that time as we approach some important events that we typically hold in Concord. And then the budgetary amendment will be requested closer to the end of the contract. We have some quantities that we may underrun, so the amount would very much likely be less than that $645,000. I'm happy to take questions.
Of course, I have a few. My first one is this all happened prior to November when I became a part of this board. Was this bid out to other contractors since this part of the project was excluded? Did we take bids from other contractors, or was it just a given that Sealand would get this because they're doing the rest? And then my second question is, if this extends by 90 days, does that extend the entire project by 90 days, or is that, again, just this piece? Because I kind of have a little bit of a heartburn with the fact that this would extend the entire streetscape by 90 days. It seems kind of a backdoor extension.
So the original scope kind of had this planned, but just grayed out on the plans. And the note said something like, this will be bid at a separate time. Since we currently have Sealand out there, there is some efficiency for them to extend the contract. Had we closed out their contract and they had their final pay app completed, we would not be able to perform this under that contract. The advantages could be they've already got those suppliers secured. There's certain skill sets with the tree cells, the Silva cells. So Sealand is comfortable and able to perform this work. Unfortunately, the option with the county didn't work out. The contractors kind of took a look at that and said, ooh, that's tricky. It's not really big enough for them, or, not in their wheelhouse. They didn't want to kind of get involved with it. So if we were to kind of bid this out separately, we certainly could do so, but the consistency along the project may not be 100%. As far as when the 90 days starts and stops, just the structure of our contract means liquidated damages start when that contract end date happens. 90 days is what they requested. We kind of have a certain amount of rain days that are kind of set aside. Really, the extension here is not as significant as it seems, and 90 days is for this amount of work is somewhat appropriate. They may be able to, if the weather holds, we might be able to bang through it. They've really done a good job here lately, and we've had some good weather. Hurricane is on the radar right now, so we'll see how we do.
Well, I think one thing we anticipate is before the 90 days starts is that they're up to Killarney and that part is all done. Is that part of this?
There's going to be some
We're not going to extend Killarney
concurrent.
for 90 days, are we?
No.
Okay.
There's some concurrent work that can be done. So we had a project meeting today. You will learn more on Thursday, some drone footage. So they're planning on doing some Silva cells starting next week. That same crew could, once they finish the regular scope that they're working on with the Silva cells, move on to these, and then that would complete that body of work. So the timing might work out pretty well with it. There's some demolition and things that would need to be done prior to the installation of those Silva cells. They've been meeting most of their milestones, so we're pretty happy with the progression.
I think the heartburn would be if we extend finishing from the library up to Killarney and add 90 days there. That's where the heartburn will be.
Okay.
Bill, that's where I'm not clear on that. I mean, Lori asked that question distinctly. Does the 90 days add to the existing contract?
Correct.
And it does. And we got an
It does.
answer of yes to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I still don't quite understand, because if it means that now Killarney is going to be another 90 days added to it, that's
They're
what,
going to continue with their work progression as it sort of makes sense. So they're not going to do a timeout on their current
Yeah,
work
right.
and turn to this 90-day section. It's
right.
going to kind of progress.
I see the 90
Okay.
days as more being, starting in front of the courthouse. What's got to be done there adds to their 90 days.
It's not a separate body of work. We'll just be adding this to the contract.
So Killarney may be 90 days added to it to be finished.
They're,
Outside of that 90.
they might be doing finishing touches on Killarney.
Well, no, yeah, we understand the finishing touches. We understand the planning and all that. That's a given. But they're not going to pull away from going to Killarney and start working on the courthouse and leave that unfinished except for the finishing touches.
Correct. I think there may be some, with the tradesmen, this work will kind of plug into that, but it's not going to just totally mean we're going to stop all the progress that we've been communicating weekly. That
Because there's been
schedule,
good progress made in the last
Yes.
three months. That really is moving fast.
thank you.
And if that were to stop, it would be really difficult for us.
I'm sure I don't understand all the contract negotiations, but this kind of acts like a separate contract. Do we know that the pricing we've gotten is good? Do we know that that's in the best interest of our citizens, that this $645,000 is a bargain, or are we paying double what it's worth? I mean, of course, that's the benefit of having other bids. I get that. But it also seems like to me, this is sort of a separate little contract that ought to have its own finish date and it not be called an extension of the other one. And I think, Mayor, to your point, that may be what you and I are thinking, that this possibly says, okay, well, here's an extra 90 days. Take your time. I'm not very interested in them taking their time. So I just am trying to understand if this is carved out as a separate price, separate piece of this, then I'm not really sure that extension is the word I'd want to hear used. I'd want to hear, you got your own set of dates for this project, go do it.
Right, we don't have that. It is an extension for this contract.
Any more questions?
Okay,
Okay.
all right, moving on.
Moving to item 12, consider accepting preliminary application from Amelia Black.
So in accordance with City Code 62, Amelia Black has submitted a preliminary application to receive water and sewer outside of the city limits. The property is located at 618 Springbrook Avenue. It's zoned RM1 residential medium and it's undeveloped. The applicant is planning a single-family home. The parcel is contiguous to the city limits. So the motion would be to accept the application and have the owner proceed, including annexation.
Okay, question from council? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The last item we have deals with making appointments to Concord United Committee. We had a meeting between council members Clay, Stock, McKenzie, and myself, and we went through, there's two areas that we want to get, do things for the Board of Adjustment. We are, want to recommend that Cynthia Hayes be moved up to the regular position. And we have two candidates that we'd like to consider. My problem with my notes, I have 3 names here, so I'm going to get you by email the names along with the credentials of each the person that's going to be appointed. Okay, you did? Please. Yeah, okay. So if there are any questions, please let us know. We had a good discussion on this. All right. Anyone want to pull anything off the consent agenda? All right. That said, we will not adjourn, but we will go into, what's the term for us? We will go into recess until we come back at 5 o'clock. Let's see. 5:15, we will come back and we will have the presentation of our status of our projects, correct? Thank you, everyone.